Hello, everyone. My name is Taeho Jung. I'm an assistant professor at the University of Notre Dame in Indiana. Today, I'd like to describe the privacy issues we have in the big data age and what kind of research we do to prevent them. So nowadays, a lot of devices and people all generate the data. There are sensors everywhere. There are IoT devices everywhere. Even the fridge have computing devices in it which generate data. And obviously, people use social media and people use web browsers, which also generate the data. And let's look at the right-hand side. This is some interesting statistics. So 6 billion videos will be watched on YouTube, and 95 million photos are posted on Instagram, and 1.5 billion active users upload 300 million photos on Facebook, and on average, each person generates 147 gigabytes of data on average. And let's guess on what time frame this will happen. Surprisingly, this happens every day. So it's interesting to see that every person generates this much data, which is not plausible, but in fact it is because we use social media a lot, we use web browser a lot, and every behavior of us generates data in the cyberspace. And these data generated by users are very valuable. These are all real-time stream data, and they provide actionable insights. And these insights can increase the operational efficiency of the organizations and companies, and they also reduce institutional costs and risks. Because of this, the analytics market of such user-generated data is huge. Last year, it was $12 billion, and it's projected to be about $38 billion in 2025. And at that time, it will be larger than the tablet market globally in 2025. And some real-world examples of such a market includes Facebook, whose major revenue source is the effective marketing with ads analysis, and it's done by analyzing the user's behavior of watching advertisements. And large companies like Google, Amazon, LinkedIn, Adobe, and others, they all buy such user data for their business from different places. These are really useful data, but they also contain a huge privacy risk too. For example, companies will collect social media data, location data, electricity consumption, purchase history, and watching history of advertisement and movie for their businesses, not necessarily to infer private information, but these are shown to contain much private information if someone uses state-of-the-art AI technologies. For example, if you use social media data, one can infer sexual and political orientation of the users, even the mental health condition too. And if you disclose users' location data, their home location and income level can be inferred from the location data. And if you disclose electricity consumption of each user, we can infer their household occupancy, and we can also infer what kind of channels they are watching on their TV, and we can also infer what kind of brand they are using for their fridge and how old their fridge are. And this happens to other types of data too. So these leakages are going to happen if our data are collected widely, but they're also breached. So the next question is, do companies collect and lose our data nowadays? Let's look at this question and think about it for a while. So after the Europe's GDPR, a privacy law is implemented, how many companies can legally collect our data or one's health data from a health app? There are 3 choices, 1 to 5, 5 to 10, and 10 to 50. I notice most people want to say it's C, but in fact, this was a trap question. The real answer is 216 companies. Legally, these many companies are able to access someone's health data from a health app even after GDPR is implemented in Europe. Now let's look at the cases in the United States, which is worse. So in the US, our health records can be accessed by more than 2,000 organizations legally, according to HIPAA. And one can imagine that if this happens to the medical data of us, then what's going to happen to our other data that's not protected by the law? And as you can see from here, I'm sure most of you know this incident There were a lot of companies losing our data, and then they had to go to the court to pay for this much money for the settlement or the fine. And these are the statistics from 2015 to 2019 only. And these were only the top 10 or 11 companies that I got from the list. In the list, there were even more. There were about 300 companies involved in the settlement because they lost customer data set. So this shows that our consumer data sets are at certain risks, and the big data industry is not doing too much to protect them because it's not easy. And our research is to develop the technologies to let companies and government use consumer data set more securely so that they can protect our privacy, and also they are involved in less liability issues. One direction is the secure computation for data. We want to let the companies and government process encrypted data instead, so that when the data is lost, nothing will happen. And another direction is the secure management of the data. We study how to let companies and government handle our data in an accountable way. And for the first, we study cryptography and encryption. For the second, we study blockchain. And these are the summary of the study technologies. We study homomorphic encryption, we study private stream aggregation, we study trusted execution environment, and we also study how to store graph data on blockchain. And there are many other interest projects, but I could not introduce all of them with details because of the time limit. For example, we study how to combat COVID-19 too using cryptography technologies. So if you're interested in our other projects, please go to Google and then search Andy and my first name, Taeho, then you will see my website. Thank you very much.